Okay, this is a video for WriteLatin.org, and we're using the textbook Lingua Latina per se illustrata. And today in chapter 20, we're going to learn the future tense. Today we're going to briefly review the present and imperfect, which with the future together constitute the present system. And then we're going to learn how to formulate the future, how to express it, and then we'll do two kinds of drills.
And we'll finish by learning negative imperatives, like don't blank.
Again, if you don't remember, well, you should know this already, but these symbols tell you which ending I want you to put onto the end of the verb. So when you see that, go ahead and do that. They would be third plural ending, probably some form of NT. All right, so this is the House of Latin. We have learned present tense and imperfect, and now we're going to learn the last regular, stable green tense here, which is the. So these three tenses are then incomplete or ongoing in time, and so that means that the two attributes of the future tense are that its time is future and its completeness is incomplete or ongoing. Again, the present system, which derives from the present stem, encompasses these three tenses. So a brief review. Remember, in present tense, we learned how to get the present stem, A verbs, long A, long E verbs, nothing verbs, short I, and long I verbs. And then we tacked on an ending onto the end of it, like that. In the imperfect tense, we did the same thing, but we inserted ABA or EBA in between. So translations, how do you translate these? The imperfect was or were blanking. Present it was is blanking or blanks. And the future is will be blanking or will blank. But now it's going to get a little more complex in the future. In the future, we're going to have two rules. All right, so it's a little more complex than the imperfect because there was just one rule, BA, to produce the imperfect. But here in the future, there are two radically different rules, being BI and the other two conjugations being A or E. And you can see here that first and second conjugation are going to use OST mustis NT, and third and fourth are going to use that A and E with M. ST mustis NT. So the formula to produce the future tense for first and second conjugation is present stem plus BI, and for third and fourth conjugation it's present stem plus A or E. Now remember, in the imperfect it was present stem plus BA. So this first half of the rule is very similar to the imperfect, but the second half isn't. Here are the four conjugations. Again, you divide the conjugations apart and start with your present stem. For the first two, add on BI and then your standard endings. Notice again that the O swallows the I, and also that hating the sound bint, the Romans change it to bunt. So the endings are going to go bo bis bit, bimus bitis bunt. So then, in the last two conjugations, we're going to add A in the first person singular, that's read, and E everywhere else before we put on our ending. That's going to go for all these. So this one is going to go cadam, cades, cadet, cademus, cadetis, cadent. Capiam, capies, capiet, capiamos, capiemus, capietis, capient. Notice the similarity, though, with what the present would be. Capio, capis, capit versus capiet. And cadit in the present versus cadet. Those are so similar. What's the difference? Well, the difference is that this A or E is extended out or longer. So when you're listening for a verb, notice whether it's a short I or it's a longer E sound, because that will be the tip-off to recognizing the future as distinct from the present. But the simpler way to remember these endings is don't go with all of these special rules and starting with the stem and all that. Just remember the way it goes is this. Vobis bit, bimus bitus bunt, ace et, emus atus ent. Again, notice that 3 of them have a long macron. Yeah, now of course the ABI is greatly extended out, so you should be pretty good at recognizing that. It's only the 3rd and 4th conjugation, like here, where it's going to be a little hard. That'll be a little harder to recognize. All right, so how do you express the future tense? Well, in the present tense, the emphasis was on the ending. But here in the imperfect, there was a hump in the middle of the word on that connecting vowel before the BA. And we're going to see the same exact thing in the future. There's also going to be a hump right there. So put an accent or pressure or a stress accent there. Vocabis. That'll sound different than vocas. Vocabis. Now, when you're listening or saying a future tense word, you should associate in your mind the sound of each part of the word with what it signifies. And if you listen carefully, you can even hear that meaning or that signification in the way that it is said. So, woke, of course, is obviously something having to do with vocal, voice. So that's the action or the meaning. The abe is what gets extended out and emphasized. So that tells you that it's ongoing in time. Because, it's not a little point in time, not short and cutesy and sweet and to the point, like some tenses will be. No, it takes a long time to say abe. When you hear a verb said with a part in the middle that takes a long time, you know that that verb is telling you that something is ongoing. And then lastly, the ending would tell you who did it. So now you could translate it, but I don't recommend you translate it. Just listen to the natural sound of the syllables and the natural signification of the way they are emphasized. Alrighty, and here's another verb. Debo, videbis, videbit, debimus, videbitis, videbunt. And then for the 3rd conjugation, faciam, facies, faciet, faciemus, facietis, facient. Try to extend that out as much as you can. Notice that this is much different from faciebant, way over here in the imperfect. Okay, so future then has kind of a little bit of a double hump because the connecting vowel is emphasized and the ending is kind of emphasized. It's smoother in the 3rd and 4th conjugation. All right, so let's practice it. Let's mix them up. You want to think to yourself, okay, which conjugation is it? And then which future rules should I use? Obis bit, bimus bitus bunt, or ame set emus et. Well, what's one way that you could not even have to think about that? Well, one way you could not have to think about that is to just recognize that the first 2 conjugations are very dominant and assertive in that long A and that long E. And everything else is kind of sneaking away and trying to hide. So if you hear a dominant sounding verb with an A or an A in it, slide into the curly-coo bow biscuit endings. But if you hear a subtle, slinky, nothing or an I sound, then try to mute yourself into the ace at future endings. These are 2 sets of rules, and let's try it. Okay, so this would be woka. There's a dominant sound, so I'm going to go into the BIs. Wokabo. Hopefully you got. This one has kape. Oh, no dominant sound, so I'm going to go into the kapiam. Kapiam. There was no long A and no long E, so it's not a dominating sounding verb. Abe Oh, hopefully you could get that one yourself. Abebo. And hopefully you can do all of these on your own. I don't need to do them. So you may want to stop the video, and if you have downloaded the PowerPoint from the link below this video, then you can do it on your own. But now I will jump forward. Instead of doing these, you can use the House of Latin format if you want. So that is right here. So you've got your two sets of endings, and you can do this. Will ka is a dominating sound. Go into the BIs. Will capitis versus capiemos. Hopefully you could get that one. And you can do the rest. Good luck. But when you're done with that, then we're going to go on to a new style of drills. And so return to the video. Okay, so now we are going to not only do what we did before, but we're going to add in and compare it to the present tense. Let's go through all of these one by one. Let's just compare them. All right, so let's compare these. Capio, present, capiam, future. Capis, present, capies, future. Capit, present, capiet. See how similar those are. Capimus, capiemos. Capitis, capietis. Capiunt, capient. Yeah, that's the hardest to hear. Ago, agam, agis, ages. You will do it. Aget, he does it. Aget, he will do it. Agimus, we do it. Agemus, we will do it. Agetis, y'all do it. Agetis, y'all will do it. Agunt, they do it. And agent, will do it. All right, so first I want you to say the present tense form and the future tense form. Capit will be simple. And then that's not a dominating sound, so go into the A and E rule. Capiet, hopefully you could get. Let's try it yourself. First the present. Habemus. Well, you look and see this is a dominating sound. Habe, so we're going to slip into the BI rule. Habebimus. We have, we will have. What about this one? Habet. Habebit. He has, he will have. And about this one? Present tense. Apetis. Then in the future, it's not a dominating conjugation. Slip into the AE rule. Capietis. See, this is pretty hard. So slow it down. Do it as slowly as you need to. And with time, speed will come naturally. Don't rush it. Don't try to overthink it. Try to go as smoothly and simply as you can. Woko, and dominating sound, wokabo. Okay, good luck. And hopefully with time you'll at least recognize and get good at writing and speaking these future tense verbs.
Okay, the last thing we need to get for chapter 20 here are negative imperatives. Now, we already had positive imperatives where you tell someone to do something. And how did we do that? Well, we took our standard present conjugations like this, and then we took the second person rows, the ones you see here, and we changed all the forms that have an S at the end, in this case, everything. So what we did was we removed that S, and then we were left with either the distinctive vowel of that conjugation or with a hanging weak flaccid I. And that is a very unstable letter to be ending a word. And so that short I was not going to stay like that. And so with time, as people said kade, kade, kade over and over, it soon became kade. It distorted to an E. So that's how we get the active imperatives to tell someone to do something. Nata, swim. Natate, y'all, swim. Habe, have, habete, have y'all. Cade, fall, cadete, y'all fall, cape, take, capite, take it, y'all. Veni, come, venite, adoremus, as the song says. Come on, come, y'all. So that's good for positive commands, but what about negative commands? How do you say don't? Well, before we get into that question, I need you to make sure that you know these words. So stop the video and recite these words and make sure you know both their meanings and what conjugation they each are. Normally it should be obvious what conjugation it is. Once you say the second principal part, you'll know. And of course, 3 of these are deponents with passive form but active meaning, and 1 is a semi-deponent with mixed both active and passive looking forms. Okay, so in order to be able to say don't, we're going to need these 2 forms that you already learned, called the present infinitives. The active one down low and the passive up above. We're not going to need the other 3 infinitives where you see question marks here. In fact, we haven't even learned these yet. But in any case, we just need to know how to say to blank and to be blanked, which is what these 2 mean. So how are we going to do that? Well, the to blank is very easy because that's the normal infinitive, which is the second principal part. So as long as you know that it goes are, ere, and then third conjugation is ere, and fourth is ire, then you've got the active infinitive, to blank. But how do you say to be blanked passively? Well, the rule you learned for that was you replace the final E with a long I, just like this. And that works for 3 of the conjugations. And then for the last one, once upon a time it was cod, short I, R, long I. And when people started saying that over and over, kari, 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 and kapari, 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 the short I caused this ending to become so fast that the I and R disappeared. So that's how it ended up, kadi. All right, so that's your passive infinitive. Replace the last E with long I, or replace the whole infinitive ending with long I. All right, so here is your formula, therefore. To say don't, you're going to say noli if you're talking to one person, or nolite if you're talking to plural persons. Now, what is this verb noli? Well, look above it here. It's from this verb nolo nole, don't want. So we translate it as don't, but literally it's something like, want not to blank, O people. But for English speakers, it's easier to just translate it as don't. So to this noli or nolite, we're going to tack on an infinitive, either active down low or passive up high. So I'll do the bottom ones now. It goes don't deny, don't frighten, don't untie, and don't bind. Whereas the top ones would be don't be denied, don't be frightened, don't be untied, and don't be bound. Okay, there we go. So those are all the conjugations represented there. So try these questions on the right. Try to put them into Latin. When you have don't, use a form of noli or nolite. And then when you have rejoice, you're going to use active infinitive or passive infinitive? Which one? Active, right. What about if it says, like in number 8 here, don't be punished? Is that going to be an active infinitive or a passive infinitive? Right. If you see be blanked, that's going to be a passive infinitive, right. Also, how are you going to know if you're going to use singular noli or plural nolite? Right. You're going to look at what? At the subject. If it's a plural subject, like right here, divites, rich ones, plural, then you'd better use a plural verb. That's just subject-verb agreement. The verb must match its subject in person and number. So before you do each of these, you have to look at the subject and decide whether it's singular or plural, and then put in your don't form, and then look at the infinitive and decide whether you want an active or a passive one. Okay, so stop the video and start it when you're ready to see the answers. And the answers? Okay, so number 1 was, oh, rich people, don't rejoice. Next, oh, poor people, don't lack from food. Oh, worthy ones, don't not just be quiet, but be quieted. Oh, number 4, oh, matron, don't be rebuked. Number 5, oh, Marcus, don't follow them, because now follow is active. So why do we have this passive-looking long I ending here? Right, because that's a deponent. 6, O infant, don't weep. 7, oh spouses, don't kiss, because that's what there. Osculari is what kind of word there? Right, it's a deponent. Number 8, oh Gaius, don't be punished. Number 9, oh Rome, don't become evil. Oh boy. Number 10, oh soldier, don't let them to flee. Okay, there we go. Okay, so in this video we briefly mentioned the verb to be in its future form, and then we got the two signs of the future, bi or and e. And then after practicing them in real words, we also picked up the negative imperative, how you say don't do something. And that's all we're going to learn for this video. In the other video for this chapter, we're going to get the future forms of volo, nolo, sum with all its prefixes, and eo with all its prefixes. So hope you enjoyed it, and see you later.
Olite.